It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe, joined as always by Kevin McIntosh. Great to start off a new week with you, Kevin.
Hey, what's going on, Tyler, man? Happy to be here per usual. Another day, another opportunity to talk to the community, and we got a lot to talk about. Let's go.
And a lot of big opportunities for our kids in the local area here as the West Bloomfield School District and others in the local area. Kicking off the school year today. School finally back in session. That back-to-school season is over. We are in the school season as of today. The West Bloomfield School District kicking off their year this morning. Here's Dr. Danya Bazzi in a video she posted on social media, jumping back into the school year. Now it's the kids' turn as they go from home to over at the Swamp at West Bloomfield High School, Lakers Stadium, to kick off a new year and send a message, a big welcome back to Team WB in West Bloomfield as the summer comes to a close and the new school year is underway in West Bloomfield. And it's a short week for them over at West Bloomfield Schools, Kevin. They'll be there today through Thursday. Then they got family fun night in West Bloomfield football on Thursday night before they enjoy an extra long weekend to start off the school year. No school on Friday in the West Bloomfield School District. Then, of course, they got the Labor Day weekend. That's also the same case for the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, starting their school year today, and also will be running Monday through Thursday this week. No school on Friday for the students or the staff, and then they'll come back next week, Tuesday, after the Labor Day holiday. For the other one of the bigger school districts in the greater West Bloomfield area, Bloomfield Hills Schools, they still got one more week of summer ahead of them. They start off the school year a week from Tuesday on September 3rd, Kevin. But a big welcome back for everybody that is back in school now or soon will be getting back into the classroom for the first time this year.
We all remember those times, man, when it was back to school season and you had to go back. But, you know, it gets, you know, a lot of parents and a lot of residents back into their regular routine. We know traffic is going to be a little bit different. Got to be a little bit more patient for traffic, the buses and things of that nature. But it's back to our regularly scheduled programs, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it's going to be an exciting school year, and I'm looking forward to some football, too.
Yeah, soon also back to regularly scheduled programming over at West Bloomfield Town Hall. We told you last week about a little bit of a traffic breakup over there for those particularly heading to the West Bloomfield Township Public Library as artists from the Soul Studio installed a new mural on the street at the Civic Center complex in between the library and the police station as you head toward Town Hall. Here's a video on your screen on civiccentertv.com. Of some of the additional progress of that mural. We showed you a little bit of it last week. Even more progress has been done. This is just as of this morning as they put the final finishing touches on the mural. Now, for part of this Monday, the border walls that have been blocking traffic from going over that mural will still be in place as they let the finishing touches dry over and solidify in place all the protections they've put in place for that Caitlin Cartwright talked about with us from Soul Studio on Friday's edition of The Splash on CivicCenterTV.com. But later on this Monday, it'll be wide open. People will begin driving over it, walking over it, taking a big look at it. So if you're over at Town Hall today, there is an attraction for that. Even more incredible, Kevin, that this project was done by artists right here in our local area at the Soul Studio. Here's what one of the artists had to say in regards to what this mural and the opportunity means to those artists over at Soul Studio.
It shows that even if you have a disability, we artists can show our work and have people see what we have accomplished. It's amazing. I definitely really think that it's just a great opportunity to show up us what we can do, and just how everything can come together when we all work together.
Always great to see these artists get an opportunity to put their work on display, especially right here in their hometown in West Bloomfield. And even more rewarding that it goes to such deserving people. And the end result is fantastic. Here's another artist from the team that had, and what they had to say when it came to what the mural ultimately represents about our community.
It's wonderful. I think it's wonderful because then it kind of helps other people show that, yes, we may have special needs, but as a community, we can create something very beautiful.
And that team effort's certainly the case. Ashley telling us about that, one of the artists. And she also went on to explain why murals like this are important for these artists and for our community and connecting people across Greater West Bloomfield.
Most of us could be shut in and not welcomed by the community because of our differences and different special needs. And so Studio gives us the opportunity to help the community come in and see that we all have something to give to the community. We're not just some people that look different or act different.
And Kevin, their work has been on display across the town hall complex. Earlier this year, we told people about them doing some painting on some of the beams inside the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Now they're decorating the road at the Civic Center complex, and from what Caitlin Cartwright told us on the program last week, that's going to be in place for well over a year. It's been weatherized, so it should last throughout the winter and all the various weather patterns we have in our community. So a beautiful piece of art on display from some excellent artists from Soul Studio.
I think it makes so much of a difference, the fact that it was a collective body of work with a bunch of different artists also, as opposed to just one artist. And I say that because you'll have more people who feel like they take more pride in and you know the creation of it, and then you have their family and friends that say, oh, my daughter, my brother, my friend helped create this. So I think it just helps put more people involved in it, and they take more pride in it, and it just spreads it out to the community more. So great work. It's definitely an eye catcher.
And Ashley and Alexa both talked about that, emphasizing the teamwork that went into this. Caitlin Cartwright on the program with us last week. That's on CivicCenterTV.com. Also emphasizing how much of a team effort this really was. And it shows when you look at the mural that's there, both what was in place last week and the finished product that's, as we speak, being completed at the Town Hall complex. So go on over there if you get a chance today or throughout this week. It's going to be a beautiful week of plenty of chances to get outside over to Town Hall and check those out. Kevin, another really cool story over at Town Hall, just right next door to where that mural is in place at the West Bloomfield Police Department. The West Bloomfield Police Foundation posting a picture of Officer James Pettinato with a young man from right here in our community who was a victim of a hit-and-run accident earlier on this summer in July. And they provided, the police foundation provided him with a brand new bicycle to replace what happened, what he lost, of course, in that hit-and-run, and as he heads back to school. They said he went through a full recovery. He's recovered very well from any injuries that were accumulated as a result of that hit and run back in July, and now going to get back on the bike, back to school, and enjoy the beautiful weather outside too, with some bike rides after class each and every day. Really nice story from the Police Foundation.
Really great gesture too, by the way. They didn't have to do it, but this is just another way that our local authorities are giving back to the community. And I'm so happy that we highlighted this, because this is, like I said, a great example for us to send out to the community of what our local authorities are doing.
Now, you can still help our local authorities in investigating that hit and run. They're still investigating it as we speak. It happened on July 7th around 10:30 p.m. at the intersection of Pontiac Trail and Haggerty. That's a very busy intersection, even at that time of night. So if you have any tips that may help lead further on in this investigation, call the police department's non-emergency number at 248-975-9200. 248-975-9200. Now, Kevin, we've told you recently about some members of our community who have been in service for a number of decades, and last week a celebration for one of those over at Temple Israel.
No, that's correct, as a matter of fact. And actually, as executive director, David Tisdale celebrated 45 years of service and his retirement just this past Friday. We actually sent our very own Jake Schaff out to the celebration to learn the difference that David has made with the community.
For the last 45 years, David Tisdale has helped to serve the great people of Temple Israel. And just recently, those same people helped to honor him as he headed off into retirement. Having devoted much of his life to serving the community and helping to turn Temple Israel into what it is today, it's very easy to see why David is so beloved in this community. And many of those who know him best had nothing but great things to say as he heads off into this next phase of his life.
Well, David has been a pinnacle of Temple for over 40 years, so we have been wanting to celebrate him for a long time, and the fact that he's retiring soon seemed the perfect opportunity to really honor everything that he's done for Temple and our community. Literally everything that you see at Temple, David has had a hand in creating or putting together or overseeing, and he has truly built this temple and this community.
It's so well deserved for David. He's been a rock and soul of this temple for 45 years or more. His family and my family and I have a very deep connection, and I just wish them all a hearty mazel tov.
What did David bring to Temple Israel, would you say?
Well, David's commitment is unsurpassed, and to last so long in a job that's difficult, and to promote Temple, and to make sure that we're here today and here for the next 50 years, David has ensured that, and he really was the heart and the soul of Temple Israel for the last 50 years.
His presence is everywhere. I mean, he's the first person to greet you when you're coming here for services. He made a point to know every single family in our congregation, and the ties that he has with everyone run so deep generationally that he's really ingrained himself. And he really prides himself on creating a family and a really sense of home when you come and walk through the doors. And people who have known him for a while really can feel that about him.
David is actually a mentor to me. I've known him since I was very young. I grew up here as a member of Temple Israel, and I've worked here for the last 6 years. What he's done is amazing, and he deserves to be celebrated. Temple Israel wouldn't be what it is today without David Tisdale.
How did it feel to have all of these people from Temple Israel and from the community come out to celebrate you tonight?
Well, I'm very honored, that they recognize what I've done over the past 45 years and how much they seem to have appreciated what I've done. I've worked hard. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm honored to have had the opportunity to do it, and I certainly have no regrets. I'm very proud and thankful for what I was able to do here.
A career well spent, and everything that happened tonight and everyone who showed up was proof of that. Congratulations to David Tisdale for his 45 years of service, and from all of us at Civic Center TV, we wish you nothing from the best as you head off into retirement. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Riding off into the sunset. Congratulations again on the retirement. David Tisdale, 45 years of dedication to the congregation. Him and his wife were also married at Temple Israel. His daughter also being a member of the clergy for many years. So it just talks about his legacy and everything that he's done at Temple Israel over the years, Tyler.
Yeah, certainly a generational impact at Temple Israel for David Tisdale. 45 years of service over there, culminating with that celebration late last week. And as we talk about generational impact, you said it yourself, his daughter, a member of the clergy over at Temple Israel. Joining us now on the program is Rabbi Jennifer Kaluzny, who is David Tisdale's daughter and was part of that big celebration on Friday. Rabbi, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you on to talk about your dad's impact on your congregation. Let's just begin with that. What impact did he have on ultimately leading you into the clergy and to your current position as one of the rabbis at Temple Israel?
Well, I was raised by my parents in a Jewish home where Judaism was always warm and loving and fun. And watching him work at Temple Israel showed me what hard work and dedication and love for a place and love for an institution really looks like. And at the same time, ensuring the Jewish community's future at Temple Israel. And I wanted to be part of that. I looked to my father as just a penultimate example of a mensch, which in Yiddish means just a good person, a good soul. And I wanted to share in the work that he was doing. And my route was a little different. It wasn't as an executive, it was as a rabbi.
And so how did his work on the executive side and what you saw from him over those years, how has that helped to inform you now and your leadership position at Temple Israel?
So one of the most important things that he taught me was every single congregant is important. And every life cycle that they are experiencing, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a baby naming, it doesn't matter how many I might have attended or how many I might have officiated at, it is their one. And for me as a clergy person, for him as an executive, we always worked as a team to make sure that that family had the most meaningful and moving experience that we could possibly give them. And he taught me that it's about the people. That's what makes a congregation, is the people. And so I watched my dad greet every single person that walked in that building for my entire lifetime. And I try to do that as well. I try to put together family trees. I try to catch up with people as much as I can, because that's why we're there. At the end of the day, that's why we're there.
Take us through also your experience working with your dad, because that's got to be an interesting dynamic to be growing up in that temple, to be going there throughout your life, to then join the clergy, and then be working right alongside someone who's had such a big impact on that congregation.
You know, I've told my dad many times that working with him has been the best part of my rabbinate, and it really has. I've loved it. My father and I get along so well. We don't argue. And what's really amazing is that we learned how to have a professional relationship such that if a stranger walked in, they probably wouldn't know that we're related. But at the same time, we've remained incredibly, incredibly close. And when I was hired at Temple Israel 20 years ago, he used to joke that I was hired in spite of him. And I did feel, because I was David Tisdale's daughter, that I had to prove myself. And you know what? That was okay. That was okay, because my dad showed me that I could do it. I could show that I was there because I deserved to be there. And 20 years later, I believe I've succeeded. And he has been nothing but my biggest cheerleader, my biggest support. And I told him this weekend that whenever I drive into Temple Israel and I see his car in the parking lot, just makes me feel better. And I will miss that very much.
Rabbi Jennifer Kaluzny is with us from Temple Israel as we celebrate 45 years of her father's service to the temple. David Tisdale retiring after 45 years as a volunteer and an executive over at Temple Israel. That celebration happening early on in August. And Jennifer, for your family, what was that moment like to see so many people from over the years at Temple Israel, including current congregants that you're serving, coming back into that building to celebrate the legacy that your father's left behind?
You know, my father does so much of his work behind closed doors. There is so much of his work that we don't know about, because he believes in discretion if a family needs help. And he sends 100 letters a day congratulating people, and he makes 100 calls a day checking in on people, and we don't know about most of it. And so everybody there was coming to, in a way, say thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping us get back on our feet. Thank you for cheering me on. And so for us, knowing what he was doing behind the scenes, maybe not the details, but knowing what he was doing, to see people come and celebrate him, there are really no words, because he's never asked for any recognition for anything that he's done. And we've only been waiting to celebrate him. So as our family, it was perfect. It was perfect, and we just sat there and smiled and we were just so thrilled that we finally got the chance to celebrate him.
We had a chance to talk to him in the weeks leading up to this celebration, and we asked him what was next after 45 years of being involved in the temple. That's been so much a part of his life over those 45 years. And he said, I'll probably just find some other volunteer opportunity. That was the first thing he listed on there. And so what does that really say about what this meant to him, all these years of service?
That's who he is. You know, my dad always says he's not a golfer, he doesn't play cards. That's not the kind of retirement that he's looking for. He's worked his entire life. And after devoting yourself, you know, as a volunteer, as a professional to an organization for half a century, there's no way he's not going to do something else just like that in his retirement, because he finds so much meaning from it. He feels grateful, and I'm sure he told you that he feels grateful to be able to do what he does for the community. So I'm not surprised at all. He's going to keep himself busy. He's going to give of his time and his talents to another very lucky organization, I'm sure, because it fills him up. That's what fills him up.
Rabbi Jennifer Kaluzny is with us from Temple, Israel on today's edition of The Splash Live. Her father, David Tisdale, retiring after 45 years as a volunteer and an executive over at Temple, Israel. Rabbi Kaluzny, before we let you go, anything else you'd like to say about your father's lasting impact at the temple and the lessons that your congregation has learned from his service?
I think that my father taught the power of service, whether it be volunteer or paid. And the longevity of his career also taught a great lesson in dedication. And he always said it was a labor of love. He also owns his own real estate business, but this was his love. And I think it taught everybody what it means to devote yourself for a lifetime to something that means something to you, to something that matters to you, and also to ensure that whatever that is safe and secure and ready for the next generation to take over. And I think that that's one of the lessons that he taught, is that if you put your love and your heart and your soul into something, you can make a difference, you can make an impact, and then you can proudly hand it over to the next generation.
It's not work if you love what you do. It's just something else that you do each and every day, and you do it with intensity and with a fervor that helps other people in the community. Rabbi Kaluzny, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate having you on, and of course, a big congratulations to David Tisdale on his 45 years of service to one of our largest religious institutions here in the greater West Bloomfield area over at Temple, Israel. Kevin, really just a remarkable time here in our community to celebrate a volunteer. We love celebrating them all throughout the year, and this was one of those benchmarks where you have to celebrate someone like that. And to see the turnout there for David and his time really shows the impact he had.
Yeah, man, it was so happy to see just the smiling faces, just the love, the energy. And, you know, when people can speak highly of you for the work that you've done, especially when, 45 years, like I said, that's like a lifetime and a half for most people, most of the young adults, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy that he did that, 45 years just dedicated to Temple Israel. It just shows, how much he had love there and how much, he received it also. So once again, I can't speak enough on the celebration and the love that we have here at Civic Center TV for David Tisdale and all his work.
Huge congratulations to that entire community over there. Kevin, we'll take a very short break here on The Splash Live. A big topic of interest in our community has been the transition from GFL Environmental over to Priority Waste. Look, there's no sugarcoating it. There's been some growing pains, but what's the status right now from Priority Waste? How are they addressing these issues in our community and providing excellent service, hopefully very soon in the future? Matt Allen will join us coming up next on The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Good nutrition can help make sure you have enough iron, calcium, and vitamin C in your body, which can make it harder for lead to enter your bloodstream. Help protect your family from the harmful effects of lead.
Hi, I'm Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk. I want to congratulate Civic Center TV on reaching 1 million viewers on YouTube. We are really grateful for your efforts to help us get our message regarding elections out to your viewers. I'm Debbie Binder, proud to be 1 in a million.
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live local social, it's The Splash live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kevin McIntosh along with Tyler Keefe. Now, as Tyler did explain, yes, we are going through these growing pains with priority waste taking over from GFL, but we know that we are going to experience things being a lot more smooth. So with us live on The Splash to break things down and give us a status update, Director of Government Relations and Public Affairs for Priority Waste, we have Matt Allen joining us. Thank you for being here, Matt.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Your time is very valuable and we appreciate that. So let's get straight to it. So far, with everything being said and how long priority has been here, how have you all actually responded to the challenges and the issues inherited from GFL so far?
I'm glad we had the opportunity to do this update for the community in West Bloomfield because a lot has been done since you and I last spoke several weeks ago, Kevin. We're a little over 50 days into this 90-day process of transition in all 73 communities, affecting 700,000 people here in Southeast Michigan. And I'm happy to say that West Bloomfield's camera technology has been installed on all of the trucks that have been allocated. We've right-sized the operational assets that are necessary to affect garbage, recycling, and compost service on a weekly basis, having same-day service. And so since our last update, we had a status with Steve Kaplan, the township supervisor, and we are now back to normal service rates in the community. And with the exception of some one-offs or perhaps a slowdown of service on a particular day, we're at one-day service in West Bloomfield, many weeks ahead of schedule.
There we go. Perfect. And we love to hear that. So essentially, we know it's going to be a process. Like you said, like we talked before, 60 to 90 days to really get things rolling and pick up the steam like we wanted to. Now, what other things or what are the differences that you are seeing between when you all first picked up to right now, essentially? Like, how has the calls from the residents been a difference also?
Good question, Kevin. Back in the beginning when we were picking up everything that the previous provider had left all over the place and basically abandoned many of the communities to be on their own, waiting for us to show up, we came in as like the cavalry, and in 21 days we cleared away everything that was left behind. The call volume was exceedingly high because of a phone integration issue from all the various lines that GFL had scattered all over Southeast Michigan, all had to be consolidated. Those issues were resolved within the first 21 days. The best thing is from there going forward, we were able to implement the technology in all the trucks, get the right trucks in there that were repaired and roadworthy, because as you may remember, out of the 450 trucks or so that were garbage trucks, 212 of them were not roadworthy. So it's kind of hard to do a full service job with less than half the trucks you need to make that happen. That's been corrected in West Bloomfield. And I just might add that in the neighboring community of Commerce Township, we implemented the camera technology on their trucks this weekend. So that community is also going to start seeing the same level of service, just like West Bloomfield has for the past several days. That same day service, the consistency, the accountability with the cameras, the individual logistics driver coordinator in our PIT, the Priority Integrated Technology Center here. They're going to have that one-on-one service. There'll be more accountability. The portal is open or will be open and fully functioning in your community here very soon in West Bloomfield. And so the normal day-to-day high level of service based on the technology that we provide is coming. We're almost 100% there. But the good thing for the people in West Bloomfield is the regular service is there same day in their communities now. And that's what we were trying to get to, getting the trucks fixed, get the technology on the trucks, getting the scheduling right-sized in the community so that we can do what we do best, which is service you so you don't even think about your garbage. And that's where we all wanted to be, because clearly there was a topic of discussion for many weeks in many communities here in Metro Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's getting better. We're over the halfway point in this 90-day journey that we're all taking together. And I have to commend the leadership of West Bloomfield for being consistent, staying with us, knowing with continuous communication how this process was going to have to play out. And we appreciate everyone's patience as this took millions of dollars to correct the deficiencies of the previous provider. And we are doing that not just in West Bloomfield, but in all the other 73 communities across Southeast Michigan.
We appreciate that too. And with us right here live on The Splash, Director of Public Relations and Government Affairs for Priority Waste, Matt Allen, joining us right here on The Splash Live. Giving us an update on Priority Waste, the challenges, the hurdles, and everything that they've overcome as they continue to transition to taking over the community's waste hauling services. So what type of long-term strategies does Priority Waste have in place to prevent similar issues that have occurred in the past with GFL?
Oh, that is a great question. First of all, our fleet that we had before we took over was less than 6 years old. The average life expectancy for a fully operational garbage, in other words, a truck that's running every day of the week, 5 days a week service, is about 6 to 7 years is optimal life before you have to put a lot of money into overhauling these trucks. Many of the trucks that we assumed as the takeover from GFL were 9 to 11 years old and had not been worked on. As we talked about before, dozens of them were bought in by tow truck. Over 212 of them were not roadworthy. Several of them, you would turn the wheel 180 degrees and the front tires wouldn't move. I mean, there were serious deficiencies in that fleet. And so we had planned on about 60 trucks that were deficient as part of our due diligence. But what was delivered 60 days later was 212 that were not roadworthy. So that changed the calculus, as you might imagine. And we've said this over and over again. And I realize that, everyone wants to be first. Nobody wants to be last in any corrective process, but we all have to do this together. It's a journey that we all took together, and West Bloomfield really bucked up, and I appreciate the leadership in the community, from their DPW to the supervisor's office and the trustees, so that we could get through this journey together. The future is in the technology. Our AI, our enhanced, we're coming up with a third generational technology advancement here. So we're coming into our third generation of technology. So West Bloomfield is actually getting the third generation technology from Priority. And that's what other communities are going to experience as well. And then going forward, we're constantly updating and improving processes to give the most cost-effective, safe, and efficient service that we can in all of our communities.
Very, very important too. Also, thank you for providing that. Now, one question I do want to ask while I do have you here, and we kind of running low, but I want to ask you this. We are transitioning into the winter months also. Can you discuss how Priority Waste is preparing for the upcoming winter months to ensure that waste collection services aren't disrupted through those weather services also, or weather conditions?
Sure. So we follow what the National Weather Service guidelines are and what comes from the county road commissions, and the townships normally follow that direction, right? So if it is a snow emergency day, that means that they're going to be plowing. So if the cars can't be on the street, the garbage cans can't be on the street. So we have to follow those guidelines. Now, there are very few of those weather events throughout the year, okay? So most of it comes down to common sense, but not unlike the post office or any other essential service that a community would experience, we're going to be there through rain or sleet or snow or ice to come and pick up the garbage on a regular sequence. So what I would say is those rare events where they do declare the snow emergencies and so on, be smart. The plow trucks have to get into your cul-de-sacs, especially in West Bloomfield and some of the outlying areas, the little idiosyncratic streets in the township. Don't put your cans out on those days so they can get the plow. But once the plow comes through, we're going to come in on regular service. So that's the one thing that normally presents an issue in any community is a snow emergency. Otherwise, we're going to be there just like the post office.
Yeah, just want to ensure that also. I'm pretty sure we'll elaborate that a little bit more as we enter the winter months. We do appreciate your time, Matt. Any other messages that you want to leave out for the community in regards to the status of Priority Waste while we still have you?
Kevin, I thank you very much. Just like we said at the beginning, we hear you, We care and we are coming. And what I say is, we still hear you. We care still and will continue to care. And we've come and we're going to be more consistent going forward. And it's all going to be because of Priorities Technology.
Thank you again so much for your time and your update. Once again, Director of Public Relations and Government Affairs for Priority Waste, Mr. Matt Allen, thank you again.
Thank you, Kevin. Anytime.
Yes, Tyler, that was one of the things in our community that's been affecting a lot of residents in all four of our cities also, and we're just glad to actually have that update directly from Priority Waste. That way we don't have to speculate, but it seems like things are progressing, but it's still going to take a little bit more time.
I think that will help to ease a little bit of the worries maybe of our community, because it's obvious you're going to have frustrations when you're having interruptions in a critical service, a weekly service that is really important to our community, especially given the context of how things ended with the prior provider in GFL Environmental. Steve Kaplan, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, has very aptly described that as abysmal in those final weeks and final months of their service, and now Priority Waste coming in. Look, there's been delays, there's been some mishaps here and there, but a lot of that has to do with the sheer volume of what they've taken over, implementing technology into newly acquired vehicles and onboarding new staff. So good to hear that there's some progress there, and hopefully less of that frustration going forward. But something that may help to ease some of that frustration is one of our favorite times of the year, cider mill season. Here in the greater West Bloomfield area, one of our favorite local locations is the Franklin Cider Mill, and that is opening very soon on August 31st, Saturday, August 31st in Franklin, Michigan. Joining us now on the program to talk about this year's grand opening and all the fun happening at Franklin Cider Mill this fall, Melanie Radner, the owner of the Franklin Cider Mill. Melanie, thanks for being with us today. Glad to have you on to talk about the opening of Franklin Cider Mill. Of course, exciting day coming up this Saturday, August 31st, the first day. What can people expect on day one over at the Franklin Cider Mill?
Well, day one, we are always up and ready to go to greet all of our happy customers. We open up at 8 a.m. and usually a line forms usually around 7:30 to get our, hot donuts and our fresh cold cider. And I heard it's going to be a hot day, so our cider slush machines are going to be rolling and rolling for everybody to grab their cider slush.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like that first taste of fresh cider from your local cider mill to really bring you into fall. We've got back to school, we've got high school football, college football, and more, but that cider mill experience really is one of a kind. So how do you keep maintaining that experience that has spanned generations at Franklin Cider Mill?
So I'm actually a third generation, and I used to work here when I was a little girl. My grandfather purchased the mill in the 60s. I was not born yet, and when I was born, all I do is, I don't really remember, obviously, my first few years of life, but starting at the age of 7, my parents brought me in here every weekend, started learning things, and I've worked here. And I feel like my goal in the cider mill is to keep it feeling like the original cider mill. So I try to keep everything with the same experience that everybody experienced as a young child like myself, into bringing in their grandchildren generation after generation. So every time somebody comes, they're like, oh my God, the mill has not changed at all. It is the same as I remember. And that is what I try to do, is keep everything feeling the same, but yet keeping up with the times as we have to nowadays.
And what's that experience like on your side? You've been involved in this for generations, as you said, through your family and working there as a kid, but also to know that, look, it's in Franklin, we cover greater West Bloomfield, but that really does tell the story. So many communities do converge over at Franklin Cider Mill as their local favorite. So for someone that's involved on the business side of that, what's it like for you to experience all these different communities and generations of those communities congregating at your facility every year?
I actually love it. I think it's such an incredible It's so incredible for me to watch all these communities come together, like exactly what you said, West Bloomfield, Farmington Hills, we have Livonia, Southfield, Detroit, Rochester, Romulus. Everybody does come over here. We're a unique cider mill. We're not the typical cider mill like everyone else always usually goes to. We are I would call it like a boutique cider mill. Everybody comes, it's friendly, it's warm. You can get, an easy parking place, and people come and they see all the different generations of different people and all the different cities come together, and it's just a happy place. And for me, watching everybody be so happy gives me, a great sense of pride that I've been able to keep up this family tradition for not only my family, but for everyone else's family.
And something, Melanie, that has been a point of emphasis in recent years for the cider mill is increasing that accessibility for people across all of our communities to come in there and still have that experience no matter, excuse me, where they may be at in life. So what has gone into that focus, or what has changed maybe at the Franklin Cider Mill to increase accessibility for your patrons?
Okay, so what we started doing is when I stepped in 2019, we brought in credit cards. Prior to credit cards, we were a cash, along with, ATM machines. Credit cards has really saved most of our patrons a lot of headaches. If they didn't have cash, if they weren't able to stop at the bank. So bringing in credit cards was a huge thing. I've tried to keep up, we're still in the original building from, the 1800s. So I try to keep everything looking the same. Other than painting and cleaning and repairing what we need to repair, we keep everything the exact same. So when they come, they have the same exact experience. Our hot donuts we're still one of the only cider mills to serve hot, fresh donuts as they come off the press. Nothing is sitting on a shelf longer than 30 seconds. Our cider is made fresh every single day. It is cold. We have a unique, different variety of apples that we mix into our cider every week, depending on the apples that are the ripest at that time. We do bring in Honeycrisp cider early on, and Honeycrisp is one of our top sellers because we are also one of the only cider mills that makes a pure Honeycrisp apple cider. So we do have a lot of unique products here, compared to any of the other cider mills. So I feel like it's an easy stop for people to stop at for work. They stop here on their way, they run in. We also now order online ordering, so they could go onto their phone, do an order ahead of the time, and pull up to our window, get out of the car, jump up on our porch, grab their order to go. So that was something that we brought into our building in 2020 when the coronavirus came. So I feel that we've really kept up our end of the bargain on our sides, and we are continuing to hopefully be one of the best cider mills in the state of Michigan since we keep being voted #1. So
more information can be found on the Franklin Cider Mill, including ordering information and all of their updates for this upcoming season. FranklinCiderMill.com. You can also follow them on Facebook at Franklin Cider Mill, Instagram at the Franklin Cider Mill as well. With us on the program is the owner of the Franklin Cider Mill, Melanie Radner, on today's edition of the Splash Live. And something that's been highly anticipated coming into this season, the return of the famous cider dogs coming back at the Franklin Cider Mill. Take us through that and how much excitement has been behind the return of the staple.
So the cider dog, which I think is great that people love it so much. We take our jumbo hot dogs and we marinate them in our freshest apple cider overnight, and then we grill them on a grill outside, and people line up for those cider dogs. They are unique to us. We are the only cider mill that does it once again, and we are known for it. And like I said, our apple cider is the best cider in the state of Michigan. So the way that our cider dogs taste still has a hot dog taste with a little bit of a sweetness to it, and people love it. We also do serve regular hot dogs if somebody isn't interested in the cider dog, but the cider dog is what we're really known for, and we're really excited to start that on Saturday, August 31st.
It says right there on their sign, a family tradition at the Franklin Cider Mill, as Melanie said. It all opens up on Saturday. Melanie, before we let you go, anything else that people should be keeping an eye out for this late summer and, of course, throughout the fall at the Franklin Cider Mill?
Well, we have a lot of exciting weekend, little different this year. We're going to be sending out something through our emails and on our website, which will be starting on August 31st of upcoming events. We do have the Farmington band coming. We have a swing band coming. We're going to do some Halloween festival things. We're going to have different fun things every weekend planned this year. So please look out on our website at franklincidermill.com to look for all the upcoming events that I guarantee your family wouldn't want to miss.
Expanded sales this summer and fall, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily over at the Franklin Cider Mill. It all begins on Saturday, August 31st. Melanie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you on. FranklinCiderMill.com is their website for even more information. Follow them on social media as well. Facebook at Franklin Cider Mill, Instagram at the Franklin Cider Mill to keep updated all throughout the season. And Kevin, this is the closest cider mill to us here in Greater West Bloomfield, and for good reason. People love to go out there, and there really can't be any more competition because it spanned the generations. So many families have been going to the Franklin Cider Mill for years and years, and it's a great way to connect our community as we transition into the fall season.
Man, that's, as a true Michigander, that's just one of those traditions for the fall that just breaks us right into the fall season, going to our local cider mills, enjoying the activities, enjoying the time as a family, either before you go to school, the kids go to school, or right at the beginning of it. But let me tell you, Melanie is a marketing genius, because every time she mentioned cider and donuts, she didn't just say cider and donuts, she said hot donuts and cold cider. My throat got so dry, I want donut and cider so bad now. So I can't wait to get out there, Tyler. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, this week Saturday, gonna have to head on out there, Kevin. We'll maybe see Kevin
Let's
McIntosh over at the Franklin Cider Mill. Of course,
Man.
More information, FranklinCiderMill.com. We talk about traditions in the fall, from our cider mills to football on Friday nights. Well, this week, that tradition a little bit different, going to be happening on Thursday night. West Bloomfield High School's football season kicks off. But this week in Laker football is already underway. Your weekly look into all things about the West Bloomfield High School varsity football team. I had a chance to speak to head coach Zach Hilbers about how last season's finish has informed the team's drive into 2024, and talked to him also about some of the veteran presence, the young promising talent, and what he is looking for out of his varsity squad as they head into that first game on Thursday.
No, we just came off our first scrimmage yesterday where we got a chance to like kind of compete against somebody else and hit somebody else. And, you know, you kind of been going at it against each other for so long, whether it's lifting in the summer or like last week with our two-a-days. It was just, I guess, a noticeable, refreshing boost to, I guess, our energy and morale. And that should only be, you know, tenfold as you go into your first game. I guess, hope I don't have the blood pressure spike like I did last year.
Yeah, we talked about this in the past with this team, just in the past couple of weeks at OAA Football Media Day. You're returning a lot of veteran players, particularly on the offensive side, returning a couple of players on the defensive side that had very big roles near the end of the year, but all of them collectively have seen playoff time and have seen important football. How does that factor in as you try to set the tone for 2024?
Oh, it's really invaluable. Helps a ton. Like, just because they know what to expect in high-pressure moments and high-pressure situations, you know. There's one thing we tell the kids is, like, football, you'll always be faced with adversity. I can't tell you when it's going to happen or in what form it's going to happen, but it will happen. And just for those guys that have kind of been in those situations and know the ebbs and flows of it and how to steady the ship when they need to, hopefully it pays off.
I'm taking a look at this team. On the offensive side of the ball, you're returning 7 starters. That is a huge benefit for a team that last season scored 33 points per game, had a number of blowout victories, including as you march toward playoff time. Talk about that veteran leadership and how important that's going to be for putting points up on the board and really putting your best foot forward against a tough schedule.
Well, we hope it, gets us off to a good start of the year. It's funny, a year ago we were kind of looking at the inverse of it, where we thought we had a really experienced defense and an inexperienced offense, and we were hoping our defense would carry our offense, and I guess our offense kind of got shot out of a cannon, and we're just ready to go from day one. So you never, quite know what to expect, and as soon as you think you got it figured out, usually the opposite happens. But, if you sit and look at it objectively, you think, a lot of those guys made a lot of really big plays last year, and they're really good football players, and we just hope that they can do that again when their number's called.
One thing that does stand out, and that you made a really big point of at OAA Media Day, is that your offensive line. Your line is really where the veteran presence of this team is across the board. How important is that going to be, especially with the youth on the defensive side of the ball?
We have the first 3 days of practice here at West Bloomfield. We do a lock-in where we all spend the night here and spend a lot of time together and get a chance to talk to the kids. And even just talking with some of those linemen, I think it was Tuesday night, we were sitting out on the picnic tables, and I just kind of asked them, how much more confident do you guys feel right now, or comfortable do you feel right now? And they were just laughing. They're like, we didn't know what we were doing last year. And now you never know exactly what's going to happen, obviously, but they know what they're supposed to do. And, I guess there's a big difference between learning on the fly, getting like thrown into the fire metaphorically, or just, like I said, having been through those battles and knowing what to expect and knowing what to do before you even get there. So we hope that, pays off for us this week, next week, and every week going forward.
It helps you to set the tone too, because everything really starts from the trenches in the game of football. And you got some pretty good new additions coming in too. You lost some players on the offensive side on that line, but bringing in a guy like Jay Gardenhire, 6'8", 350 pounds, experienced in winning football too at the high school level. What has he added to that offensive line room?
Well, first of all, I guess the size, like you said, when I heard there was a kid from New Jersey that was moving here, who was 6'8", 350 pounds, I kind of rolled my eyes and said, yeah, okay, whatever. And then when him and his mom showed up, I was like, oh, they were not exaggerating. And like you said, he played at a really high level in New Jersey in a really good program in a really good league. So he's just really used to all the same stuff like I mentioned about our kids that are returning. He's played at a really high level, at a really competitive level, and he is used to having high standards for himself. So he's fit in pretty seamlessly. Like, the hardest thing has been learning the language of what we call something versus what he called something in New Jersey. And he's really picked that up. He's a smart kid, and we expect him to hit the ground running.
Speaking of new players on this team, you got a little bit of a problem. Yeah. And it's one of the best problems, I would think, a coach, especially a coach with some offensive experience in the quarterback's room in his past, can have. Two really good quarterbacks on this team. Jamal Shakespeare returning this season, and then Bo Jackson coming in from Novi Detroit Catholic Central. Take us through what that scenario has been like for your team as you're developing this offense in the post-Rick Nance era.
You're right. Bo and Jamal have been outstanding. And to be honest, like Brody Pecor's on our team, who started 5 games as a sophomore at quarterback and was 5-0 when Rick got hurt. And even some of our young guys have been outstanding all summer, like Jackson Carver. I can't believe how much better he's gotten, how much he's grown. So we really have like 4 or 5 guys that we could feel confident at any point we could put back there. And it's a really good problem to have. And they each kind of have their own unique skill sets, and that juggling match has been really a large part of our offensive practice this summer. Is we try to maximize all of their strengths and really get them all involved as much as we can.
So who's the starter?
Bo's probably going to start, and Jamal's going to play quarterback every single game. He's going to play all over the field. He'll be a receiver, he'll be a running back, he'll be a free safety, and he'll be a quarterback because he's frankly earned that. Just from what he's done in previous years and what he's done this summer. And we've really been impressed with him. And even our play yesterday, we went down and scrimmaged River Rouge, scrimmaged De La Salle, scrimmaged Dearborn Fordson. Both of them just did what they had worked on in practice and played at a really high level.
And talk about the effort, too, of your players in the offseason. I've read stories of Elijah and Cameron getting together with Bo and with Jamal and other guys from this team to even further hone their skills and get that work in outside of when the coaches are here. How does that play into getting your team ready for a season like you have coming ahead with 9 playoff teams on that schedule?
Yeah, the schedule's hard and it's daunting, but those guys are all pretty close. And, we only have so much time that we can work with the kids, and the fact that, when the weather started turning in March, they wanted to go out there after school and throw a ball around and just kind of build some of that chemistry or refine some of that chemistry. It really gives you a head start to when you really get going in June.
Then you look on that defensive side. We talked about the youth movement over there, but you look at the returning players. They were role players last year, but when they played their roles to a T, they made a huge impact. Guys like Jaden Allos with 30 tackles, 2 pick sixes in playoff time. Jonathan Edison with 3 interceptions over the season, and Will Espy, who, like you said, in those scrimmages had some big plays himself. What does that bring to that younger defense in 2024 as you're trying to match what you had out there last season?
Yeah, a lot of those guys played in decent amounts in spots and made plays when they had their opportunity. And, I feel confident in having them out there. And the more important thing is they feel confident. They feel like they got a ton of experience last year and they know what they're doing and they're ready to go. Because they're not, I guess, second-guessing things or trying to, process on the fly. And that's where it can get you in trouble on defense sometimes if you're overthinking and not just reacting. And those guys are all just reacting right now. So, we hope that rubs off on some of those guys getting their first shot, too.
So as you go into this season, week 1 really sets the tone. We'll talk more about that later on in the program. But as you get out there that first week, what really is the focus of this team in 2024? And what are you doing to set that focus in motion from the jump?
Really just be ourselves, like try to control the game at the line of scrimmage, like you mentioned, eliminate our mistakes and just do what we do well. And sure, you're going to game plan for other teams. You're going to try to see what they do on offense and defense and try to exploit them as best you can. But we want to focus on ourselves. That's been our focus all summer. Let's do what we do well. Let's get better at it each and every week.
What is the message of this team in 2024? Every team seems to have the identity. What do you think is that identity for this team?
You know, it's funny. I never got too big into those things. So last year at this time, we didn't really have one, and it kind of came about this week, right before you're coming into week one. And it was, you know, the burn the ships motto of like, we're going to leave everything behind and come together as a group. And it hasn't quite popped up yet, but I know it will, like it always does. Like I said, you're going to get put in adverse situations and we're going to get forged together one way or the other. And I kind of like the organic nature of when that happens, instead of it kind of being something you're forcing on kids or trying to teach them. Like we want it to be applicable and we want them to like see it. And we think we get a little bit more buy-in that way.
Yeah, the players also equally excited for the 2024 season. They want to get out there and they want to prove their worth in 2024. I had a chance to talk to Elijah Durham about that, coming off an historic junior season, looking to follow that up. So if you want to see that and keep up to date with all of our coverage of West Bloomfield Lakers football in 2024, civiccentertv.com/LakersSports is the place to go. This week in Laker football playing there as we speak on that website, and you can find listed times of its airing all throughout the day, all week long on civiccentertv.com. Kevin, an exciting time of the year as we get back to high school football, and a little bit early on a Thursday night.
Man, you got me hyped, Tyler. I can't wait, man. Yeah, just talking to Coach Hilbers and just going into depth about the preparation, the players, and the mindset going into the new season. I'm all ready to hit the field myself, just as a spectator, I should say. But yeah, very, very great, insightful interview too, Tyler. Great job.
Yeah, appreciate that. And I'm really excited to see this matchup because it's the same opening matchup as a year ago and kind of similar storylines for West Bloomfield and Chippewa Valley. They have a lot of veteran players that are coming back, but they lost a lot of key players too. Chippewa Valley primarily on the offensive side of the football, West Bloomfield primarily on the defensive side of the football. And hey, that was a close game. It came down to the final 20 seconds, a 2-point conversion, a risky move by Coach Hilbers and company, ultimately won them that game 22-21 on the Lakers' way to a 10-3 season that ended in the state semifinals for the Big Reds of Chippewa Valley, a 9-3 season that ended a week earlier in the playoffs for them. So an exciting time in our community. Kevin, before we wrap up today, I want to keep residents abreast of something that's happening in West Bloomfield. May affect their water in the coming weeks, but all for a good cause.
No, absolutely. As a matter of fact, there is an issue or should be something that everyone should be aware of in regards to the water. Actually, from the West Bloomfield Water Utilities Department, they said on their Facebook page, quote, "In the coming weeks, we will be flushing hydrants throughout the township. If you happen to experience rusty looking water, run the cold side of your lowest sink for 5 to 10 minutes. If it doesn't clear up, give them a call." And actually, from the Water and Sewers Utility Director, Justin Taylor himself, he actually gave us some additional information in regards to that for our local water.
Hydrant flushing we do it twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And it is an integral part of the distribution system. There's many positive aspects to that. First off, and foremost probably is to make sure that we have adequate water flow for residential homes, commercial businesses, and heaven forbid, firefighting purposes.
Now, what he essentially said is this is mainly going to affect people who live in like courts and cul-de-sacs, Tyler. And while it is rare that the rusty looking water could happen, he's just giving us an update and just letting us know there's still a possibility that you could experience that rusty water. So you can rewatch that interview in its entirety, civiccentertv.com. Click on the on-demand tab. Great information, Tyler.
Yeah, plenty of more information on why this process has to happen, what it does to benefit, of course, our fire hydrants, our firefighters in our community, but also the quality of water that's coming into your homes each and every day. civiccentertv.com. Go to our on-demand page to find that and to get more information or get in contact with the Water and Sewer Utilities Department in West Bloomfield if you have more questions. That's at wbtownship.org. That's also the end of our show for today, Kevin. We are out of time. Got to get moving, but plenty more news, information, and fun things happening across Greater West Bloomfield all throughout the week right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In the meantime, follow us on social media, Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, YouTube at Civic Center TV. For our entire crew, Calvin Brown and Jake Schaff at Master Control, and alongside Kevin McIntosh, I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for tuning in to The Splash Live.